the 2 hours program here for the female future for this International Women's Day that we have today. I just want to say a few organizational things because it's our university that is hosting the event. So first of all, I want to say, so please note that this event will be recorded. So Barbara Reiter, my colleague, who is responsible also for Green KAIT, so for the Green Accelerator, she's doing the recording, and we will afterwards then try to make out a film of it. And so if you don't want to be in the movie, which we will then put on the social media platforms, on YouTube and wherever, and you, of course, also, you're all welcome to use it. But if you don't want to be seen or heard, then please switch off your camera, and you can always use the chat. I will in between be reading the chat. So if there are any questions, but you don't want your voice to be heard, then please just put your question or remarks in the chat, and I will read it to everybody. So a warm welcome from my side. My name is Sabine Prosnek. I work here at the University of Applied Sciences in Austria, in Kapfenberg. We're located. We are in the IT department. And today we already had a busy morning having our Female Future event, which is quite a big event at our university. There are almost 300 participants altogether, where we try to bring together mostly women on the one hand with companies so that they can find a job, but also talk about entrepreneurship so that they think about being an entrepreneur and doing their own business and making the world a little bit better. KAIT is our traditional founder center. It's about IT and also a focus on women. And we have now this new part that's Green KAIT. This is a EU-funded program where we should have founders that bring the European Union towards this Green Deal of the European Union. So more climate friendly and less emissions and use resources and so on and so forth. And Barbara Reiter, my colleague, is really doing that. Thank you, Barbara, and thank you for being here and supporting us as well. So Hürriye is now saying a few words to the International Women's Day, and then we will start with the program, which will start with the 8 tips for podcasts, and then we have this traditional, I call it, Female Founders Roundtable, because it's already the 3rd time that this is taking place, this event, in fact, but it's growing every year a little bit. And so here, the floor is now yours.
Thank you very much, Sabine. It is really exciting to see you all around. And every year with an international aspect, we are adding more countries, more nationalities, and more perspectives, actually. Thank you very much. And welcome to our roundtable for the 3rd year right now. I'm representing Yaşar University Women Research Center, which is in Aegean, nearby Aegean Sea in Izmir. It's located. And first, why it is 8 March? Because it's International Women's Day. So what does it mean? First, I would like to just start from that point. It's a global, actually, awareness rising day we are talking about, 8 March, and we are celebrating every year as an international arena. Why? To commemorate the political, social, economic, and aspects of women achievements we are celebrating for that day. And also, we are also celebrating for the historical achievements of women, because 8 March 1857, more than 150 years ago, 100 women were died in New York in a strike in a textile sector at that time. So since then, we are trying to underline the achievements of women and also the political struggle and inequalities that women is facing all over the world. Since 1975, with the accepting of United Nations, we are celebrating that day as a awareness rising day all over the world. So in Turkey or elsewhere, in every country, we are trying to underline the inequalities to accomplish a better world for all sexes and everybody. And then I will maybe later on, I can give more information about the, for example, Women's Entrepreneurship Report 2023. It says something more. It says developing countries, women entrepreneurs have better achievements than the developed countries. It is quite interesting findings it exists. So maybe we can talk about that later on. But I would like to say welcome to all of you. We have many participants right now from many countries right now nearby our round table. First, we will start with the 8 tips for podcast by Diana Pasek Atkinson and Henrietta Stokes, both from Nottingham Trent University, UK. And then we will continue with our roundtable from Katarina Kegelberger from Cyclebee company, Travel Together by Bike, and Nazi Mayhew from Global Mindset Solutions from Malta, and Georgina Fairhall, work founder from United Kingdom, and Pervin Aydar Emeklioğlu, from co-founder of KAIT Textile Atelier from Turkey. So actually we are discussing all together, is it an international arena to challenges, accomplishments, and struggles of women entrepreneurs. And welcome all of you, and welcome for the all audiences, which is right now we have more than 45 audiences waiting our suggestions, our actually good and struggles, and also the positive sides of being an entrepreneur. Welcome again. And now I would like to give floor to hear more about the podcast by Diana Pasek Atkinson and Henrietta Stokes. Welcome, and floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is marvellous to be here. Thank you so much. Henry's also with me, and we will have a little bit of time at the end to take questions. I just want to give you a whistle-stop tour of our tips for podcasting, where, as has been introduced, we're in Nottingham in the UK. So just giving you a little bit of context there as to where we are, right slap bang in the middle of the country. And we are based out of a new centre called the Dryden Enterprise Centre, which is part of Nottingham Trent University. So these tips for podcasting, and I'll give you a little taster of our podcast in a moment, are very much not just from the point of view of you wanting to start a podcast, but also thinking about if you'd like to be a guest on a podcast. It is a really brilliant way to amplify your message, to get yourself out there, and to publicise whatever you're doing. So here's a little taster now of what we sound like. So we leave you with a QR code so you can have a listen if you want to dig into some of those episodes. But on to our top 8 tips. Had to be 8 because our podcast is called The Octopus of Enterprise. So one for each tentacle. First of all, think about your focus and your format. So who is it that you're going to be speaking to on your podcast? And again, this applies if you're a guest, not just if you are putting together a podcast. Think about what's in your arena of that particular topic and audience area already. If you're already a podcast listener, you might have some favourites. So as well as looking at those podcasts that are in your particular area, in our case, business, think about the things that you just really love and you really like the way they sound that are in completely different genres. And then from that, you can start to think about what your episode might look like in terms of its focus and its format, particularly. How long is it going to be? How many hosts? How many guests? What kind of segments are there in there? What music do you want? Intros and outros. Once you've had a look at that, think about then what about your recording logistics? We began quite early on after the pandemic, and we started on Teams and have pretty much stayed on Teams. It allows us to have guests from international areas. It allows us to have some control over what we do and be able to chat to each other in the chat box of Teams at the same time as recording. We have tried doing a live broadcast. It changed the dynamic completely. There's an image there of us actually recording live in one of our rooms at Dryden Enterprise Centre. What does that mean for you in terms of equipment? Certainly in terms of recording on Teams, very little, because most people have now a decent pair of headphones and a device that they can join you on. If you want to go beyond that, then you can get into microphones and other things. But as I say, we've stayed pretty much with the basic technology. Then what about the identity of your podcast? What are you going to call it? I remember when we had debates about what we were going to call our podcast. We had some really dreadful titles. Pitch Me This was one of them that was a favourite for a while. Life's a Pitch, which is a bit of a pun in UK language. Let's Chat Business, which sounds a bit boring. We settled on the Octopus of Enterprise. It was a bit different. Octopus are really interesting, intelligent creatures with lots of different tentacles, and that's what we felt our podcast was going to be like. Often the name needs to be a short phrase or just 3 words is the best thing to get the impact. Then the visual identity, we actually had a competition that we offered to students in our university, and the design of the Octopus of Enterprise was actually by a student who won that competition. There is a link, I shan't open that at the moment, but just a link to what podcast covers best look like, so you can have a look at that in your own time. And then also audio identity. So podcasts, if you're a podcast listener, you'll know that there's often a little bit of music on a podcast. This is ours. So there's a consistency to what we have, both the pink colour, which is Nottingham Trent University's colours, the octopus that's there and the tentacles, and also the audio as well. And then as we've settled on a format for our podcast, which is I, the host, do a little bit of an introduction, and then there's some music, then I have the introduction with my guests, and at the end I'll put the, thank you very much too. There's a definite structure and a consistency to that format. And then before we actually get into production, I know you can't see the detail of this, but this is to just give you a sense of what goes in before you start even recording. So the document on the left is the briefing paper that we'd send out to any of our guests. So it tells them about us, about the podcast, what kind of things that we've already talked about in the podcast, the kind of format that we have, and just some links so they can find out more about us if they would like to do that. And then on the right hand side, you'll see there's some things highlighted. That's our basic script. And when I say script, that's for our internal use only. We don't give that to guests. And it's certainly not every word that I say is written there. It's a guide of some of the topics that we want to talk about. And really, you might take it in different ways as well. Before we even get a guest, there's a lot of research before inviting them to come on the podcast. And that is also about making sure that someone who you think might be really good to have a conversation with might actually be a good podcast podcast guest too. So again, if you're thinking about being on a podcast, what is out there of you and your voice? Are you making things on LinkedIn that show that you can talk about a topic? Have you been a guest on something else? If we can find something about our guests where we can hear them speak and we know that we're going to get someone who has a good flow of conversation, then that's going to make us even more keen to invite that person on. So when it comes time to record, and there's a lot of work that Henry puts into beforehand in terms of making sure that we find the right time and we book our guest and they know what's happening. Before you're pressing record, just make sure your guests are comfortable, make some introductions, talk about the weather. We love doing that in the UK. Talk about something so that you warm up your guest before you start the recording. Check your audio quality. We always ask our guests to wear headphones of some kind so that external noise is not going to be an issue, and we also check that they haven't got anything that's going to go ping in the background whilst we're trying to record. When you're recording, it's really good to keep a check on the time and also have some notes during the conversation. So Henry and I work very closely together. I'm hosting and talking to the guests. She can be another pair of ears that's listening in, and maybe where there's something that a guest's mentioned that we want to talk more about, then she will help me by giving me a prompt and saying, we could ask about that, and I might have missed that. Also, it's good if I've said something and we just need to reiterate that, then she'll help me with that as well. You can adapt as you go in this conversation too. It is a conversation. That's our format. So there's no rigid structure, and if the guest takes it in a different direction, then brilliant. Again, if you're going to be a guest, suggest to your podcast host 3 or 4 topics that you're really comfortable in talking about and how you'd like to talk about them. That will really help them too. All of this, of course, for me, is made easier by having Henry, my producer. You will see her in a little while. And then post-production. This is where Henry really comes in, and I'm happy to take some questions, and so is she. The Octopus of Enterprise records for around an hour, and then we edit down to around about 20 to 25 minutes per episode. So you can imagine that twice the amount of recording time to your episode time is required, at least in terms of the recording. And then, of course, the edit time depends on how your guests have been, what things you might have to take out. We do some re-records. So Henry will find the sense of the conversation and then prompt me with a new question to put into the podcast so that it's really consistent for the listener. And also some of the things that were good but not great are left behind, and everything that comes out as the episode really works very well. And then when you have done all of that, you need to get it out there into the world. So the distribution for us is on Spotify for podcasters. We've stuck with that from the beginning. You also need to get that eye-catching episode title and a description of your podcast, and also research the best time to release it. So at one time in the UK, podcasts were often released on a Friday. Now Tuesday seems to be the best day. That's really good for us. Our podcast's title goes to TUI. So we have TUI Tuesday, and that's when we do our release. Okay, sharing your podcast out in the world is not just about putting it on the platform, but also about getting your message out there. It's only as good as its marketing. So think about the times that's best to put it on social media, try out different assets. We've had some small graphics, we've had some stills from the recording showing what we're doing, we've had some reels. Hashtag, enjoy those and get your podcast some more coverage as a result of that. And also what really helps is your guests will share for you as well, and they can be the best advocates of your content. That really encourages more listens. So that's the very quick, speedy 8 tips for podcasting. are there any questions? And if you would like to have a listen, there's a QR code there which will take you directly to our podcast. And I'd like to invite Henry to join me. Oh, she's there, just to see if there are any questions. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much, Diana. This was fantastic, really interesting.
Exactly.
I would have a short question myself, if I may just start the round, because I read something that you say your re-records are your best friend. What exactly do you mean by that? Maybe I missed it.
Yes. So yes, I was talking very fast. I'm sorry. When we record the episode, we do tell our guests that it isn't a live recording. It's going to be edited. So if we had a conversation where they're saying something brilliant, but perhaps I've asked a question, but they're not answering the same question, we want to keep that real gem of what they've said. So I will record a question that then goes into that bit so that in the edit, Henry can put those two things together and make it sound seamless. So it isn't changing the sense of what the person said, but it's cutting out the bit before. And sometimes it's bits of me that need cutting out because I get excited about what people say and it's not that relevant. The thing that they said is the relevant thing. Henry, do you want to add to that as well?
It's almost like re-recording your best friend. It's something that you shouldn't feel like you aren't allowed to do. Obviously, it would be a miracle if your live episode was the perfect final product. So it's almost like in saying, embrace the re-records, embrace the edits that we do later, and yeah, don't try and go, oh, we can't do that because we want to be perfect. Re-records and edits is what makes an episode more perfect, in my eyes anyway.
Thank you. Yeah, that's quite clear now. Really good. Yeah, also I think it takes some pressure away from people if they don't have to be perfect. And but of course, this cutting thing must be hard work afterwards, I suppose.
And it is quite interesting that new communication technologies should be used from the communication aspect of the issue. It is exciting for all of us to hear more stories from right now, like a round table, and then with this octopus action, it is giving inspiration to the others to work on more. And thank you, Diana and Henrietta. It is really nice work, and to see that how it works with these color to decide the color, to decide the term, to decide the everything one by one, step by step. It is giving inspiration for all our audiences. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And also the picture with the octopus I like very much, because yesterday we had some speeches of founders as well. And one of them, he has some complicated X-ray system where he can find a default in some material. And he was using the picture of a manta ray, this animal in the sea. And then he said, because that explains to people much better what he is actually doing, because an animal everyone can connect to. And also with your octopus. And so when you said, of course, we have 8 tips because of the octopus and so on, I think that's really a fantastic picture, and to find that, it's really great. Yeah, great work. Are there any questions from the audience? Because there was nothing in the chat. So if somebody has a question, please just come forward.
Especially my students, you can ask as many questions.
No pressure, of course, but
no, I'm putting pressure. I'm communication lecturer. They need to learn to ask more questions. Thank you. And maybe we can move a little bit further. If they have more questions, they can ask while they can think right now, and we can turn our traditional discussion with the female founders. And I would like to hear more from Katerina Kogelberger, Nazlı Meyhev, and Georgina Fairhall, and Pervin Aydar Emeklioğlu. Welcome to our roundtable.
Thank you.
actually, I want to give floor to each of you. I want you to describe your business climate in your country, and as a female entrepreneur, of course, with the all the frame as well. You can describe the frame and your country. What are you doing, and what is making difference in your country or in your region? And can we start, as I already nominated the names from Katerina Kögeberger, then Nazli Meyhev, and Georgina Pearhall, and Pervin Aydar Emeklioğlu, if it is convenient for all of you. Can we hear more? And welcome again, please.
Thank you very much. What I was thinking, should we maybe quickly present before ourselves and what we are doing, and then going on to the climate in our country? Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. So I'm Katharina Kögelberger. I am co-founder and CEO of the startup CycleBee. We are an Austrian startup. We are based in Graz. So we have 5 founder team. So we have 2 women, 3 men. And for IT in Austria, it's quite a high woman rate. So because there are only like 12% female founders in the IT sector, and we have 2 or 5 females. So we have a good rate in our company. And our mission is to facilitate, to make cycle traveling easily for everyone, so to use the bicycle in the leisure time. And therefore we develop software solutions, digital solutions, and we also have the goal to support tourism and public transport to improve their services. So that's our mission, our vision, to contribute to an active, healthy, environmentally friendly way of living, of doing leisure, of mobility. Yes, so you can find me on LinkedIn. If you like to connect, feel free to do so, to ask me questions. So if students also want to know something afterwards. And maybe especially to Austrian students, if you're listening, we are currently searching female tech trainees internships. So if you're a woman, you know Flutter or Python, and you would like to work some months with us, so just get in contact. Yeah.
Wonderful.
It's not so easy to find women in IT, so spread the word, please.
You already underlined the difficulties, and thank you, and mentioning it as well.
Yeah, and a little bit more about the climate for female founders. So maybe in general in Austria, I think at least in the bigger cities like Vienna, Graz, or Linz, there's quite a good ecosystems to start a business, so that you get informations and workshops and help where to come, consulting how to do, also for free. So, and there's also public funding for innovative ideas or for tech and so on. It's not there. Like in other countries, I've heard there are bigger amounts, but at least if you have a good idea for the beginning, there is support, financial support from the state. And in this, to apply for funding, it's helpful to have women founders in the team. So in Austria and also in the EU, they're taking more and more to be aware to support also women. And if you're a mixed team or if you can show diversity, that's helpful to get more points in the application process. On the other hand, as I say, we are tech, we are IT. So when you go to competitions, startup pitching and all these kind of things, I feel, and I have participated in events where I was really feeling, okay, I'm the only woman. Now, it's not helpful that I'm the woman because all the jury is men and they will have their biases, and it's pretty sure I already know I will just go there to present women, that somebody's standing there as a female, but I'm sure I will not win it because There are only sitting men there, and they will tell me, no, but we don't need your software because there's already something for sporty male mountain bikers. Yeah, cool. But there are also other people than this kind of people in the population. So, yeah.
And really, thank you, Katerina, because when you are describing it, suddenly I'm feeling that we are not all alone, all the world. We are not the only in Turkey who are struggling with these issues. And thank you for sincere thoughts and your descriptions. And now we would like to hear another story from Malta, Nazli Mehev from Global Mindset Solutions. Please, welcome.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me here. It's an honor to be part of this event today. I'm originally from Zimbabwe in Africa. We lived in the United Kingdom for 15 years, and then we decided we wanted a quieter life, so we moved to Malta almost 9 years ago. And now we've had a sense of purpose and sense of belonging, calling. So we're on our way back to Zimbabwe in the next couple of months after 23 years living abroad. So it's been quite a journey, I must say, and very grateful for the experiences. I am the director and founder of Global Mindset Solutions, and I work with women in business, mainly in coaching, those who want to start their coaching business, or women who are in leadership roles, so mid to senior, and it's mainly been around women in HR positions as well. And the foundation of my work is mindset mastery. I believe that's where everything starts. So instead of looking externally all the time, we look at the imposter syndrome, self-limiting beliefs. We look at self-confidence, visibility. I just smile because I know a lot of people here today don't have their cameras on. So something that I also struggled with. And one way to get over it is to put your camera on. And when you're creating reels and going live or even talking in meetings, you find that you hide, or dim your light and things like that. So that's mainly the work that I do with the women, and also when it comes to digital marketing and also money mindset. That's something that I find a lot of women struggle with when it comes to pricing their services or selling them, where they feel that it's like a salesman or it's icky or it doesn't feel right. So that's the work that I do. I would say that the difficulties I found in Malta is not so much within the male-dominated space. I have been to meetings like with the BNI, and it is very male, where they're selling maybe hotel rooms or cars or gifts and things like that there. So I just step away quite quickly, because when I talk about coaching, which was fairly new a couple of years ago, I've been doing this for 4 years, they weren't sure what coaching was about. It was new to them. The other difficulty is that Malta, very much like Zimbabwe, so I'm aware of the challenges that I will be facing. It's very close-knit. They're really family-oriented, which is a good thing. And a lot of businesses are family-owned. So if you're coming in as an outsider, they're a bit reluctant to take you on. So word of mouth, referrals. I was referred to this platform today by Mary Rose from Skill Zone. So we talked about word of mouth referrals because I've worked with her as well, with the business as a facilitator. So it's about building relationships. That's what I found. Initially, you might think, is it me? Is it the color of my skin? Is it because I'm a woman? And you've got all these things going through your mind. But really and truly, it is about building relationships and trust. Also, coaching has grown over the last couple of years. If I do meet up with coaches who are male, they're very open, they're allies, they promote this type of work as well. They're also women empowerment, because they also realize they have daughters and wives who will be facing similar things to us. So that has been quite good in that sense. And then also when it comes to pricing, sometimes people don't see the need to invest in personal growth, or they may be getting it from their own organization. So you'll find a lot of HR managers either training now to have coaching certifications, or they already have that background and they provide that with their learning and development teams. So working with corporates can be a little bit tricky, because they have in-house, or they have people that are preferred suppliers. But it's not to say that it will stop you, because the right people will come to you at the right time. So these are just some of the challenges that I faced. And I believe that the more you put yourself out there, the more you network with people, the more authentic you are in terms of what you're doing, your values and your vision is very, very clear, you'll be able to start building the business that you want. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nazli. Really, it is also, you pinpoint the challenges and positive sides of the story as well. Thank you very much. And now we would like to move on to United Kingdom, to Georgina Fairhall, founder of WAC. Please, the floor is yours.
Hiya, thank you so much. It's so nice to see everyone and have so many different people from so many different places. It's amazing. So I am the founder and CEO of a company called WAC. It's a tech company, B2C, and we are helping hourly paid workers. So really anyone who on traditional salary pay, we're helping them with our app, keep track of their hours, their earnings, their bills, and really just offer financial security to a workforce who don't really tend to have too much support and tend to be on lower pay. It was something that I was in the position of. So I've had experience of being a worker in hospitality and retail and many other jobs, and was seeing that I was getting underpaid a lot by employers, and I found it really difficult to manage my life and my finances being in this situation. So I basically found a very, very simple solution and put it all into an app, and we're now offering it out to many, many workers, helping them get paid now correctly and fight back against their employers a little bit. So so that's a little bit more about me and my business. I am the sole founder. I am non-technical, so I've started a tech company as a sole female founder with no technical experience, and somehow got to this point. So you can do it for sure if you have an idea and a passion and that there is a problem there to be solved. In terms of the climate in the UK here as a female entrepreneur, I have really started to see the challenges with it in fundraising. I've got a really great network in up north and in the Midlands, in Nottingham, and the university that we've been speaking about to be introduced to today, and down south. The UK is very, very good with, you know, having a network available and people supporting each other, and exited founders wanting to support, you know, new entrepreneurs. I found that I've had that very, very successfully. However, when I've tried to raise funding, I tend to be in front of the same investors over and over again, which do tend to be male, of the same age, with the same questions. And I have found myself in a number of situations where I feel I have had to prove myself a lot more than I feel a male would have had to have. Sometimes you think, is it because I'm young? Is it because the business, you know, I'm not getting the message across right? Or is it because I am a female? And you start to like really question those things. But understanding the statistics, it does start making you think it may be because you're a female in some situations, with only 2% of the total VC funding going to females. So 98% is actually going to male founders. And 96% out of 100 angel investors are always male as well. So for me, it's about, you know, trying to make sure that there's enough women wanting to be entrepreneurs, you know, building successful businesses, and then, you know, circling back and then hopefully becoming an angel investor themselves, which is something that I would like to do. So that's a little bit more about the climate, I guess, and my experience. Because my business has been quite reliant on fundraising, that's where I've noticed the challenges the most. Yeah, there's also a very, very good group of supporting males. So I'm not against all the males out there.
Thank you, Georgina. It seems that we are moving, we are packing our stuff and we are coming to UK. It seems that the climate seems better, so we are coming. Then our last participant, Pervin Aydar Emeklioğlu, she will representing the KAIT Textile Atelier, and she is social entrepreneur. So she will tell us what is it and how it is, and thank you very much. The floor is yours, Pervin.
Can you hear me?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Hello, everybody. First of all, thank you so much for organizing this amazing event. I'm so happy to be here. And I just would like to clarify why I am in the car at the moment, because right after today has been confirmed, my lovely cousin decided to get engaged today. So that's why I'm in the car, and soon I will be moving to the engagement party area. So sorry for that. And so let me also tell a little bit about our story. Actually, before we established our atelier, we established an NGO with my two friends in Turkey, in Izmir. And the main idea was that we would like to have an NGO, like a kind of safe space. And then we can welcome women regardless of their origin, where they come from, what they speak, so they can feel safe. But at the same time, they can improve their social skills and also employment skills as well. And first we asked women in which industry they wanted to work. And the textile industry was one of the most chosen one. And right after, we started to offer free textile training courses for the women. And through the end of the first textile training program, we started to visit like a textile companies to find the job positions for women. But once we started that, it was so hard for us because first of all, not every company has a social standards. Not only like for women, but also they didn't have like environmental standards as well. But also they didn't want to hire women because our target group was women who have never studied before, who have never worked before, and then we were working with women from most like a disadvantaged areas. So that's why by the textile employees they didn't want to give in a chance to work in their companies. And then at that moment we decided, okay, then we need to establish our own atelier, so with that we can offer job opportunities for those women, but also we can offer like a free child play area, but also we can respect the environment as well when we are doing clothing manufacturing. So at the moment, what we do is that KAIT Textile Atelier operates as a social enterprise, and we are offering clothing manufacturing for the fashion brands and companies by respecting women and the environment. Um, and now what I can say regarding challenges, like within the Turkey, maybe it's also like I agree with Nazli, maybe it's not so easy for me to divide male and female, but one of the challenges that we are facing at the moment is about the concept of the social procurement. Because, for example, people really would like to work with the social enterprises. So let's say they would like to give us an order, but to run a social enterprise, there are also some costs for that because we are paying fair wages, we have like environmental standards, and then when we are giving our price, of course it's a bit too high for the companies, but because they are not that much aware of the cost of being a social enterprise. And then also what I can say, maybe within the Turkey, of course there are some supports from the government, also from the local authorities as well, but they're a bit limited comparing the European standards. But I think it could be also somehow like advantage to us, because when you have a limited opportunities, then you need to think more, then you need to come up with more like a solutions by yourself. And then this is what we are doing basically. So that's what I can say for this question.
Thank you, actually, Pervin, because when I look at the reports in 2023, Women's Entrepreneurship Report, it says so. It says the developing countries having more women entrepreneurs and they're having more, not opportunities, but they're having statistically more women entrepreneurs, and they're trying to struggle more because they learn to struggle from the beginning. Maybe therefore we can of course discuss it more. And thank you all, introductions and talking about your countries and your sectors in this issue. Then I would like to just move on. I want to, since you gave your short and interesting information about your companies, I want to get more interesting on-hand information for the future female founders. So what do you suggest? What did you do good you can pass to the new generation? And what do you think? What are the challenges they need to just be careful when they want to move? Can we start from the same the same angle? Can we start from the Katarina Kagelberger, and we can continue with other participants? Yes, please.
Hi, sorry.
It's okay. Actually, I want to hear more about the female founders. For the future female founders, right now, more than 57 people are trying to focus on what can they do and what are their challenges and positive points in the sector.
Yeah, for female founders, so what are their steps to get an entrepreneur?
Exactly.
Yeah, I found this was really an interesting question, and before this discussion, I was reflecting about this, and I think for me, main points were first, if you have an idea, then what I think is important to make it as a business run, you have to check the market, and then if you have done this check and you're sure that it will work, then be convinced and let nobody say, oh, no, you will not make it work. It's not worth doing it. So be self-confident and go your way, and really take care to whom you are listening, and in a business way to whom you listen, but also in a family way. So in your surroundings, maybe you love your grandmother, but maybe she doesn't know anything about the business you want to do. So take care to whom you listen, and who can encourage you, who can be helpful to you, and who might be a person you love, but or you respect as a friend, as a family, but maybe don't know anything about your plans. That's the thing. And for the consulting, to get advices, I think it's really important to speak with people about the idea, and you can get really good advices. And my experience, if you have concrete, exact questions, many people are willing to spend this half an hour, this hour, to give you good advice just for free. That's my personal experience. If I know, okay, this person is an expert in this, and I show interest in what she has done, and I have 2-3 concrete questions to ask, let's go to a coffee, maybe you can help me a little bit. To me, most people so far have not said, no, I will not have the time to make this. So people are happy to share their experience and to be helpful to a good idea. So that's things. What else? Well, and another thing, maybe there are even more women than men. It's necessary, at least if you have also family, to be well self-organized. That's really important to know on what to spend your time, on what not. There are many people when you start a business that want to take your time for things that are not necessary. Be aware on what you spend your time. The time is the most important thing you have. And so don't be generous to people who are just wasting it. Yeah, be self-confident. And what maybe a last suggestion is, my experience, it's good to know how to communicate with which people. So there are people who are really good at emailing. There are other people who prefer to write a LinkedIn message. Other people just like a quick call on the phone, and you will be writing emails for weeks and get no response. So if you know in which way which people like to communicate, you are quicker in getting the answers you need. Yeah.
Thank you, Katerina. Really, it is interesting because you underline the strategic communication and then the value of strategic communication, and you underline the market but the expert and advisor network as well. You underline, and time, which is the most valuable goods in our hands. Thank you very much. Now we would like to move to Nazli. Yes, what's your advices, Nazli? What can we do? How can we do? Please.
Thank you. First, I'd like to say is don't quit your job. I did in 2020. I have no regret. but my journey has taken me a little bit longer to where I want to go. So even if you hate your job and you have this dream and it's, it's your burning desire to get it going, if I can say on I call my boss the silent investor. So I know that my bills were covered and he was helping me whether I needed to hire a social media manager or a PA or a VA to help me. And then using your time wisely in the evenings and weekends, but not burning out the candle. I'd also say is really get to know your why. So why we started this business, and even ask yourself the question, it's a Japanese technique 5 times. Why have I started it? Why? To really get down to it, because there's going to be days where you're on your own, you're a solopreneur, you don't have a team like you do in a company. Everything is on you. The buck stops with you, and you're doing everything: marketing, coaching, selling your services, designing websites and Canva and everything. So there's a lot of that will come into it. So your emotional resilience is another key skill that you need to work on. You will get many rejections. You'll have the doors closed many times, but just know that NO is not just no. It's your next opportunity. If it's not for you, it's for something else. Don't take it personally. They're not rejecting you as the person. They're rejecting the service. So it's not about, oh, nobody wants to work with me. What have I done wrong? And for me, and there'll be days like that there. But again, going back to your purpose and your why is going to keep you going. And also you'll find that for the first 2 years of my coaching business, I was going in as a coach. If I talk about imposter syndrome and self-limiting beliefs, people are not thinking about that when they go to bed at night. They're thinking, oh my goodness, I've got a presentation to give tomorrow, or I'm working in a toxic environment, or it's Monday, I've got to go back into my work. So it's making that shift from an employee to an entrepreneur, and making the shift that when I'm coaching is when my coaching hat comes on. But when I'm promoting my business, I've got to think with a business mindset, as a CEO or founder or director of your company. Time management is also important, like as Katerina has said. I'm fortunate my son is 34. He doesn't really want much, although he asked me a question before I got on, and I said, I'll come back to you, but he really, he's very self-sufficient. So I'm fortunate that I don't have small children, but I have my dog who's nearby and he's looking at me for his treats. So I still have to manage the family home, even though I don't have little ones. So it's about being very, what's what I'm thinking of, specific about your time and discipline. So in the morning, I've got a power hour. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but it's there. My power hour is my first 15 minutes is I won't look at social media, because then you can get into a rabbit hole. The next 15 minutes is, together you're meditating or praying, whatever it is that you have a God, a spirit you're talking to, or the universe. And then I shower and I take my time. I enjoy that time, because that's where a lot of our creative thoughts come in. If you think a lot of times when you are as an employee and you put your ideas forward, sometimes they're not accepted by the boss of the company, but this is your time and your business. So your creative juices often come when you're in the shower and taking that time. And then I might exercise for 15 minutes, and then I'll have my breakfast for 15 minutes. Usually I'm getting better away from my desk. So that's my first hour, my power hour. And then the next hour is my return on investment hour. What am I doing to connect with my audience? I'm replying to emails. They may come on my phone in the evening. I've turned off my notifications, but I'll reply them the next day. Because if I'm working in a full-time job, I'm not replying to emails unless it's urgent, depending on your role. So my return of investment, who am I talking to? Who am I replying to? If a client is waiting for a proposal, I need to get that out to them. So what is it that's going to bring money into my business, that first hour? Self-care is very important. It's something as women that we don't do. We think that self-care it's a luxury. It's not for me. I've got to do everything. I've got to wear the red cape. I'm not Superwoman. Never claimed to be, never would be. I will take it out when I need to. But self-care is very important, because you'll burn out. Because right now you're working in your business 24/7, the weekends, anytime, because you're so passionate about it and you want it to build and get to, where you say you were in your previous role, where you were earning that money before, so you've got financial stability. But take care of your thoughts, take care of who is in your circle. As Katrina said, yes, you'll be talking to your mom or your aunt or your friend. It's not their dream. It's not their vision. So if they're not interested, it's not because they don't want to know. And also they haven't seen business women in the family before. So if you're the first time, a female entrepreneur in your family, it's new to them. They will also have their own fears and worries, which they may put onto you. So it's important that, if you're going to discuss, things that girls, talk about, hair and makeup and a movie to watch and books to read and things like that. So it makes it easier when you keep your business separate from your personal life. Move with people who are going in your direction. Don't compare yourself to other women who are more successful than you. Follow them, see what they're doing, see where the gap is. A tip is, if you go onto Amazon and you look at the reviews, look at the good, but look at the bad, because the bad will also show you where the gap is. So it's not that you're comparing yourself, but you're wanting to see, what can I do differently? Because honestly speaking, if I'd ask every woman on here, how many hairdressers have you been to, or have you seen in your city? There's loads of them. How many restaurants are there? How many makeup, companies out there? There's many. So the ideas we have are 90% already out there, but what you're doing is you're bringing you. So going back to your why and your purpose, and that's what people will come to you. That personal brand is about you as a person, not necessarily what you're selling to them, which will follow. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nazli. Really, it is interesting as well. And you underline the time management and balance and not comparison yourself with the others and personal branding. Thank you very much. And now we would like to move to Georgina. Please tell us.
Thank you. There's been some great advice, ladies. Thank you very much. So to add to that, I think for me, I have found it depends obviously the role that you have in the business, but for me, because I am a sole founder and still really a startup business, I'm still balancing many roles. So we're in the position now where we're fundraising. So hopefully with that we can, grow the team, and I can start to move things away from me that I probably shouldn't be doing as much. But over the last 3 years, I have been doing them, and it has meant that I've definitely overworked. I've definitely felt extremely guilty if I'm ill or I need to miss work due to something, because I know that everything's very, very reliant on me, and that if I do take that time, then it's just slowing down the progress of the business. And I think that's definitely the wrong thing to do. So I'm trying to get better at that. But you do find yourself in that position if you are in early stages of business and you're maybe fundraising, and you can take on too much. And I think where I really started to struggle was where I was then trying to not spend money on lunches every day. So trying to prep my lunch to take into work, and then having to cook dinners in the evenings, and then fit in the cleaning in the house and get to the gym as well, and do all of the things that, that keep you healthy and that give you a good well-being. It's very hard to do it all, and to put that pressure on yourself, definitely try not to do. So the ways in which I've kind of combated that is to, again, I'm going to speak about the great network that I have. I've had, founders around me that have gone through it that I can go to at different times when I might be struggling or just need a bit of a boost. And get advice from those people. I think people that have experienced it themselves are the best to give advice. Sometimes you might find yourself in the position where you speak to your family or your friends, and they'll be like, just have the afternoon off, just do it, or just do this. And it's like obviously hard to understand for some people the position you're in. So I think having those people that have been through it and can really understand around you is definitely the best thing to do. So if you're thinking about starting something, focus on that network, and that will help you in more ways than one. And then I think it's about honesty as well, about how honest you are with yourself, how you are with people around you. So having that network, go and tell them that if you are struggling, or go and reach out to someone, or be honest with that. Because I kind of got to the point where, because I was fundraising so much and speaking to so many investors, you've always got to, be in sales mode and have a front, and, everything's okay. The business is doing great. I'm absolutely perfect. I'm going at 100 miles an hour, and actually it's promoting overworking. It's promoting things that aren't necessarily good. So I've tried to be as honest as possible. And sometimes on LinkedIn, I've reached out to my people, my connections, and said I'm having a rough time fundraising at the moment. If I've got 3,000 connections, surely someone can help, and kind of a lot of mine obviously comes back to fundraising, but I think you can apply it in many different things. You know, starting a business is really, really difficult, and just having that resilience and the energy and, you know, just continuously is hard around normal life and children and family, and for everyone, not just women, for men too. You know, it's a difficult thing to do. So definitely having that network and then getting that routine. So I decided to join the 5 a.m. club. So I now wake up at 5 a.m., which is something that if you told me 5 years ago I would do, I would tell you absolutely not. I would be in bed at that time and I'd never wake up at 5 a.m. But it's something that I do now because I found that my kind of most energy and the things that I don't really like doing that I need to kind of get out the way, I'm best at doing in the morning. So I've just tried to stick to a really good routine so that I clear all of those things like walking my dogs and like going to the gym and doing all of that before work, so that when I go to work, I'm in a really good headspace. And then when I get home from work, I try to then just take that time to relax rather than trying to fit everything in at the end of the day. So that's something that's worked well for me. So I think definitely having routines is good, and getting enough sleep. I hate it when founders over promote, you know, this thing that you have to work, and if you're not going on holiday and you're working every weekend and you're missing social events, like if you're not doing that, then you maybe aren't as committed to being a founder. I think it's wrong, and I think that I would not have been able to continue and do as much, you know, and have the energy that I do if I didn't make sure I got some days off at the weekend and, you know, have my friends around me and made sure I didn't miss those social events, because otherwise what's it all for? You know, what's the point of having this great successful business after a few years and then all of your family and friends have disconnected from you because you haven't been able to go to things? So I think like always step back and make sure whatever is important to you, you like always have at the top of, you know, your priorities, because when you're running a business, it's really easy to prioritize that because there becomes quite a lot of pressure, and, you know, it's your life and your baby and everything you live for. So it's very easy to choose the wrong priority, I think. So I think definitely think about what is important to you and sticking to it. And then I guess a couple of things on what to expect. Definitely in the UK, but I feel like it's probably everywhere. You will feel like you're in a situation where maybe you're not believed, or you're expected to have like more evidence or more someone to back you up. Or, you know, I've had situations where investors have wanted me to bring along my male chairman because me as this female CEO and founder wasn't enough. And there's been many things, you know, that have been quite shocking. So definitely expect there to be a little bit of that, and you will be challenged, and you will probably feel like you need to prove yourself as a female founder a lot, but just stick at it. And I think just always, in any decision, in anything you're doing, just always remember why you're doing it, your values, the values of the business, the problem that you're trying to solve. Gather data so that you're not just relying on other people's opinions. You know, there's so much that you can get, and just you kind of step away. Sometimes I go swimming, you know, with no distraction. If I've got a decision to make, I think about all the things, all the data that I've gathered, all of the opinions I've had, and I'll take it all away, and then I focus and put myself in a dark room or in a swimming pool with no technology and make that decision myself, you know, and just always go back to those values and what's important to you, and don't, you know, over listen to too many different opinions. That's my advice based on the experience I've had. So yeah, but I think number one is get some great people around you so you can always chat.
Thank you very much, Georgina. Actually, yes, balancing the roles, great network, and get advice and coaching, some at least, and prioritize your needs are points, and gather data as the points that you give to our participants. And right now, Pervin, what's your advices to our female entrepreneurs? Of course, female and male, but right now, because of the 8th March, we would like to prioritize the female entrepreneurs. What's your suggestions?
Well, I think already really nice advice have been given, so there are not so many things for me to add. But what I can say is that, of course, like when we go right at the beginning, it's really important to make a really deep research. It's good to have a passion what you want to do, but also you need to have some data. I mean, as like Georgina says, so you need to know already existing, let's say, companies or enterprises, etc. Because it's important to know what your USP is, because it will be your selling point. And at that point, when you know what is your selling point is, I think it's also good to know how to explain that, because sometimes it's also so hard. So why are you doing this? What is the reason, etc. I think you need to have a really good kind of like elevator pitch to explain what you're doing. So it's one of the important part. But also sometimes it's good not to spend so much time with the preparation. Sometimes it's just good to jump in the cold water, because if you are a perfectionist, then it will never come. So I think it's just good to give a start. But that's my suggestion. So maybe it might be relevant for everybody. But I mean, that's maybe kind of like my personality is. So you just start, and then sometimes the things, I mean, maybe seem not so easy to solve, but once you start, then you will be finding the solutions within the road as well. And what can I say more as an advice? I think it's also good to have a goals as well, because when you come across with people, or when you're attending these like a networking events, when you're listening all of the other people, not everybody is talking about unsuccessful parts. So everybody's kind of talking about the successful stories. And when you listen to them, it could be a bit unmotivated. But if you would have a clear goals, what you want to do, and then maybe you will be not feeling, oh, okay, so I'm bad, but the others are good. Or maybe you will be aware of that, okay, so the others have gone already so far, but I mean, I'm at beginning of my business, and these are my goals, and I have some time to reach them as well. So we of course we had some goals at the beginning, but then it was a bit hard for me when I was coming across with other people, and then I was feeling a bit bad. But then afterwards, when I think, okay, so we are just at the beginning, it's been only a year, and then we have still some time, and then we put some more like a clear goals. Right now I feel more confident about the business. So
thank you, Pervin. Thank you very much. You mentioned the good research, gathering data, and clarifying the clear good goals are your suggestions to our young entrepreneurs, or actually young or old. We are not talking about the ages. We are talking about the new entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs we are talking. And thank you very much. I would like to
Yuri, just one short interruption from my side, because there are some things in the chat, and I don't know, Diana, if you want to say these two things that you wrote, but I just wanted to put the chat now briefly into the conversation. Diana put one thing, that there is an organization built by two wonderful women in Nottinghamshire region trying to address the funding gap that we talked about. So over being underfunded, and she also put the website there. And the second thing from Diana was that Georgina makes a good point about reaching out for help and making sure your routine is balanced. There's a very unhelpful myth that needs busting about working all the time. Of course, we all know about burning out and things like that. So we have to take care of ourselves. So lots of people talking about a whole team behind themselves. Everyone needs active rest, resilient, whether a swim or something else. So I think that's really good mentioning here. And there are two questions. One from Ebru. She wrote how important the issue of communication at being a women founder, and what advantages are there for being a female founder. So maybe there's not only barriers, but also advantages. How we can hear our voice as a female founder, except social media as a women founder. And the second question was, what is the biggest mistake our female founders made in the early days? How did they learn from that?
And we can start. Who would like to answer these questions? Is there any volunteer from our participants?
I don't mind answering one of them. Well, I don't mind answering both of them. So in terms of the important issue of communication as being a women founder, what the advantages of being a women founder, I think we're in like a really important time at the moment where there's a lot of changes being made. There's a lot of, statistics coming out. There's lots of movement in VC funding and the support available and grant funding available and pay gaps and everything else that is, you know, comes with the challenge of being a female founder in this industry. So I think take advantage of it, you know, like there's a lot out there at the moment. There's loads and loads happening. So I think to start getting a voice or to feel like you can be noticed more, I think take advantage of that. There is lots and lots going on, so get involved with it. And also I think it's about us telling other female founders about all of this. I think just make it, you know, your own mission to, you know, what do you as a female founder want to achieve? I know I would love to be able to become a female angel investor and, you know, become part of that growing ecosystem. So for me, that's kind of my own little mission, what I'm trying to achieve, and hopefully later on down the line I'll be able to help other female founders. But I think like what's important to you and what difference do you want to make, and try and do that and get involved in as many events as possible. Obviously LinkedIn is a great place to have to put your thoughts about, you know, being a female founder, so getting a bit of a voice on that. I try to use different platforms, such as being on podcasts, or if I'm on any panels or anything, you know, I'll try and take that opportunity to mention some statistics in case people don't know the issues or how bad it is, and it's about educating other people. So I think that's definitely important. And then the biggest mistake our female founders made in early days, I think, my biggest mistake. I hate to think that I've made any like mistakes, you know, because I've learned so much. And I don't think I'd have got here without going through everything I'd have gone through. So I'm glad to have gone through it. But I guess I would have actually probably found that network of people earlier if I could have, because I didn't have the confidence to do it. I felt like I was from quite a sort of working class background. I didn't have anyone I knew that was in business around me. I didn't have any money. My parents didn't have money. You know, I didn't know how to get going. And I felt like maybe I wasn't good enough to do it, or I had to be more. So for a long time, I didn't really have that confidence, but I wished I had now, because if I'd have got myself out there a little bit earlier, I think I could have probably sped things up a little and done things a bit faster than I did. So I think, not just putting myself out there probably at the beginning.
Thank you, Georgina. It is really sincere thoughts and shares. And how about the other participants? What was your biggest mistakes in the entrepreneurial journey?
I would like to add something also about the advantages of women. So you're absolutely right, Georgina, with this. I already mentioned first that now they're becoming more and more awareness in funding applications and all this, that there should be also supported women. So I think that's one advantage. But also when it then comes really to organize and manage a company, I think when a lot of women have advantage because we're already used to manage a family. We are used to handle a lot of things at the same time, to communicate with different kind of people. I don't know if it's harder to convince an internship, maybe not a court review, to do something than a 4-year-old daughter. So we have a lot of experience often, which we can use, and we have often really good communication skills. We have good management skills often, just by the life we have, so that I think it's really an advantage. I mean, not everyone, but I would say many women bring just because of their life experience with them.
Thank you, Katerina. Actually, managerial experiences we have from domestic life, you were saying we should put on our expertise in all our spheres. Thank you. And what was your biggest mistake if you go back? I know it is hard, but what was it? What do you think?
Well, I have a little also the approach of Georgina, that I think I'm always try to learn and improve. So I think we make mistakes to become better. And so it's a little bit hard to say that, oh, okay, this big mistake or something like this, it was not so far. What I really think, not only for the entrepreneur, but already like a student and so on, he has to be really self-confident enough and to open the mouth and don't let, sometimes we like the man jury or something, and then they would like to make you quiet, and you have to stand up and say, no, but I have an opinion and I have something to say. And it's really worth that you listen to me also. And maybe another thing, what I think females are more risky to fall in this trap is that we want to be perfect. And then we spend like a lot of extra time on getting this 10% just to send a perfect email, to make a perfect text, a perfect social media post. Yeah, but 90% it's good enough. And that's maybe it's also something where you can really like raise your time.
Exactly. Thank you, Katerina. Yes, you're right. When we apply for even for our CVs, we can check it. All the female applications are CVs are longer, twice or three times longer than the male CVs. It's a reality, and it is the case for all over the world, I guess, because in Turkey it is the case. At least I know that. And Nazli, what can you add? When you go back to your entrepreneurship journey, what you have done better?
I would say my biggest mistake was my website. I enjoyed creating it myself. It was 99p. I used GoDaddy. So it was like my first investment that I had made in the business. But I spent hours and hours, and even 3 years later, it's still not perfect because, like Georgina said, I needed to understand, that USP. Who am I speaking to? What message am I trying to get across? And it's not about me. So even when I write my About Me page, it's not about me. It's about my client. So I spent many, many hours just working and tweaking my website. I fell in love with Canva. So again, I find myself more in my business. So when I'm doubting myself or not sure about something, or I haven't heard back from a client, and I'm thinking, okay, what do I need to do? I go back into my website, I go back into Canva, and I create and create and create. I've got so many things that I've created in Canva that I haven't actually put out, which I'm in the process. Sorry about that. I've got traffic going past.
It's okay.
Right outside. So, there's a time to know when I'm in my business and I'm working on something and what is my goal and what do I want to achieve from it. And then I'm working on the business. So it's networking with people, reaching out to people, reaching out to clients, putting myself out there, making yourself more visible, not being perfect because that's just going to hold you back as well. So it's really getting clear on what is it that I would need to work on today. So that's why I try and keep to my ROI task as much as I can, because once I go onto my website for Canva, that's it for the rest of the day. I just get into my creative flow. So I'll say that is my biggest mistake in that sense. And then the other part of it is, what's the beauty of being, female founder is that we're very creative. You find a lot of women, we're high achieving, we've got great ideas. Lots of times they may have been rejected in, a previous employment because it wasn't what the boss wanted or what was in line with the organization. And like you said earlier on, is that 150 years ago, there were women who were taking the steps that we've been making. So we celebrate them. But as a legacy builder, as a change maker, what would I want people to remember me by? I always say on my grave, it won't be RIP, rest in peace, because I live in peace. It'll be remember I'm powerful. So what difference did I make, in the world that's going to help other women, not just for myself, help other women as well, so that they can also see that I can do this. Anything is possible. And just encourage them that I'm 52. So I did start a business 20, 30 years ago. In fact, yeah, I was 22, so 30 years ago. My friend laughed at me and I put the idea away. I tried again about 15 years ago. I doubted myself. So there's women out there, whether they're the millennials or whether my age or older, with COVID, people lost their jobs and they had to then, pivot and start businesses. So you're working for yourself, you're building something that you want to leave your family and also inspire other women out there, So, even globally, like you mentioned earlier in Africa, how women don't have the resources that we would have here in in Europe and places like that. but they know that they've got to feed their children. They know that they want to make a difference as well. So always going back to your purpose. What difference do I want to make in the world? Not for you yourself from the ego place, but making a difference to change the world. And that's how we will be remembered 100 years from now in terms of what we've created as well. And there's lots of opportunities out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Nazlı. Really, it is inspiration to change the world. Yeah, we are there to change the world. Thank you. And Pervin, would you like to add some your mistake? If you, I know that is not easy when we go back because our remembrance will be always the positive sides. But I just want to give something to the audience if you go back to your entrepreneurship journey.
Well, I think I can say the same as well. Just spending so much in the details, it really makes you tired. Because I mean, I was smiling when Katerina was telling about like spending, or like also when Nazlı was explaining about the comma, because I did the same. So I can remember I spent in an hour to just write an email, just to make it like a perfect, but also with the social media post as well. So I was doing some research in academic way. Oh, is this a good word to use it in the social media caption, which will be maybe seen for 15 seconds by people and then it will be forgotten after 1 minute. So I think this could be one of the lessons I learned. So at the moment, of course, I do care, but I mean, not that much. And then I think it's good to know the priorities that you need to spend time more. And also, I think you need to also, like as the Georgina said, I was kind of keeping myself a bit back as well because I was a bit shy to tell what's my idea. But I mean, I really want to be like a politician. Like I want to be brave enough like them, just to be in front of the people and then to kind of like try to get the support. And even though they will not do half of the things that they promise, but then still they're kind of like show their vision and etc. So that's I think what we need to do as well. We need to show how like passionate we are, what we want to do, but also how structured that we are as well, that we can run our business. So I think, yeah, if I wouldn't keep myself back at the beginning that much, maybe I could have done a bit further at the moment, but that's the lesson I learned during the way.
Thank you very much, all the participants. It is great suggestions. It's a great accomplishments you told us, and it will give much more information to all our audiences, future entrepreneurs. Thank you very much. And I would like to, as we are heading the last questions, I would like to ask you give your advices and from the audience, do we have any question, Sabine, from audience?
There is one more remark from Diana, which is a very nice one. I think it would be perfect for closing words, but so it's not really something, but they say, and particularly what Georgina also said, for helping being a female investor and then investing in other women. And Diana wrote, there is a great saying in the UK that as you go up the ladder, reach down and give a hand to another woman. Don't be the woman to stand on another woman's finger instead. So I think that's a very nice remark. I don't know,
Really?
Diana, if you want to add something yourself, or if you prefer if I read it out.
I'm happy to add, but at the moment my next door neighbour has a delivery of concrete, so it is extremely noisy in a very unfortunate time frame.
It's perfect. Okay, don't worry about that.
And if you want to your concluding remarks for all our participants, your concluding remarks when you just maybe forgot to tell us, or what you want to say as last words. Just we can start from Katerina again, and we can just move to the participants. What can you say as a last words?
Yeah, I think we already talked about a lot of things. Just maybe to give two more advices or points in this discussion, and for students and other women thinking about doing their own business. I think one thing that you really need and that you should have is, in German we say Durchhaltevermögen, so the power of endurance. So don't just keep it because maybe after 1 year you still haven't achieved the success you wanted to have or that you were thinking. So it takes some time to build up a business. If you develop a product, maybe even more. So we are developing a complex software. It just takes time, and that's okay. But you have to know maybe to whom to go and get a little bit of motivation if you're a little bit down, or yeah, to continue. That's one thing, and that's already like connected to another thing. You need like a kind of supportive network to get advices, but maybe also sometimes motivated words. And if you are not working only by yourself, but if you're working maybe in a team or something, and this team appreciates you, then also appreciate your team and know what they are doing. And we already had some time, it's not women against men, so we are a mixed team, and I can do that because I have a great man team developing the software, and they're standing behind me and they're saying, no, you present us. We are not going to present. It's you, you are the head. And but I also appreciate their competences, their knowledges. I know where I cannot give the answer, where I have to put on the question to them. So yeah, that if you have a team, and also in a family way, it's also there. You need, if you have kids, if you have small kids, you need a supportive network, and then appreciate the people for what they are doing.
Thank you, Katerina. Thank you for great last words. And Nazli, please.
Thank you. I would just say start with what you have. Rome wasn't built in a day. If you're not sure, then either find somebody who can help you, or just sit down and just write down all your ideas, use a SWOT analysis. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are opportunities and threats? What do you have already? We're not starting from zero. We've got a lifetime of experience, from our professional experiences. So whatever your idea is, you just focus on how can I help my client today. Be brave, be intentional, whether it's people that you're networking with, give as well. Instead of going to these different events and wanting to take all the time, because the more that you give, the more that you will receive as well. Listen to your intuition. There's so many times as women that we doubt it and say, I wish I had listened to that, or this is what it's telling me. So if you have a very loud inner critic, that's what is telling you the negative thought, turn it down and turn up your inner sage, because from your intuition, that comes from your head and your heart and your soul, is where you're going to be able to build your business and stay true to yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Nazli. And Georgina, your last words.
Sure. I think sometimes it's really hard to know where to start. It's very overwhelming, and you compare yourself to other women in other businesses, and you think, how am I going to get there? I still don't know how I got here. I wake up every morning and think, wow, where have those years gone, and how did I achieve this? But it was because I took one day at a time, and I just unlocked each stage, literally one day at a time. The first thing that I did was walk into Nottingham Trent University when I was doing a part-time course, and I went into Diana, who is on this call, because I didn't mention that I am a former student at Nottingham Trent University. And I walked into the office and I said, here's my idea, here's my big pile of designs and thoughts. How do I start a business? And that was it. And then a few months later, I was on like a 3-day Head Start program that they had, and I learned the basics of how to start a business. And then it just all grew from there. I entered a competition. I found some more advisors. I then found some developers. I then got fundraising, and I just went step by step. And I didn't know that journey. I didn't know how I would achieve it. So I think you can do it. Basically, I want to just let everyone know that they can do it and you can achieve it. And if you feel like you can't, you can. So just make sure you're telling yourself that anything is possible. Just take one day at a time, and don't put too much pressure on yourself. That's my advice.
Thank you, Georgina. And Parvin, would you like to add your last words?
Sure. Again, like everything has been said, so I think I will be repetitive, but Naz elaborated about this more. So I think the self-care is really important, because I mean, so your business cannot be your hobby, it cannot be your friends, it needs to be like only the business. So when you even have a free time, I think you shouldn't go like on the Google and then do some research about the business. I think you really need to have some free time, because otherwise it could be really exhausted. I mean, at the beginning it's exciting, but after some time it could be, like as I said, really exhausting as well. And then it's also important to remember that we all are unique. So in Turkish we have a saying is that not even your 5 fingers are not the same. So we are, of course, at some point are similar, but we all are unique as well. So I think that's why we need to be aware of our own strength and then the capabilities as well, because these are the things that we are going to hold on in the future. And it's just, as I said, just good to start. Of course, it's good to make some research and etc. But don't spend so much writing. I mean, like spend hours or the email or in the Canva. Just give it a try and then like talk to everybody. And it's also good to be aware of that. Maybe sometimes you will hear no, and sometimes it will be like people will not respond to you. But I think it's just good to give it a try, because after some years you will be telling this as a nice memories of yourself. And that's it.
Thank you, Parvin. And Diana, would you like to add your last words?
Yes, hopefully now I've put some headphones on, you won't hear the large amount of noise. Georgina said she came and she didn't have really an idea of the direction, but she knew she wanted to do something, and it came very much from her values, and others have said from their values. So I'd say go with your values, create value for others from your own values. That's my thing. Shine, get your authentic voice out there. A podcast is a good way to do that, so investigate that. But get support, get help. It's not a bad thing to go and ask and get some help. Help is out there. All of you on the call have the benefit of these brilliant people in your countries who can help you. They're there to do that, so don't be afraid to go and ask for it.
Exactly. Thank you, Diana. Actually, yes, these are all good advices and nice words. Thank you very much. And I would like to give floor to the Sabine for the concluding remarks as well.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, I was busy taking notes because I think we heard so many fantastic things. So I would try afterwards to make some kind of maybe a short some blog or something. I will send it to you beforehand, so to get if I understood everything correctly. But I think there were so many interesting ideas that I really just think we shouldn't just have the recording because it's like 1.5 hours. I'm not sure everybody's listening to it, but also maybe some short version with the most important findings we have. I liked also all of you 4 founders. You gave fantastic input, I think, and you really showed a way how you can do it. And that's something we want to see. And I hope that our students and the whole audience here is listening carefully, because I think there were good inputs. And also what Diana said, of course, we are all here to support and help. So if we have students or some people with ideas, they don't even have to be students. We are also open to everybody, because even somebody who didn't study something can come up with a good business idea and then just start something. And we don't want to make any barrier at all. They just can come to our places, all the universities. We also have founder centers, incubators here that are not university based, but just some other incubators. So what we want to have is a community and a female community. Of course, we have mostly male founders in our IT sector, and we really want to boost and to empower women also to come up with their idea. And even if they're not IT experts, they can always come together and take some colleagues. We have many men who are fantastic programmers, for example, but as I think, who was it? Katarina, I think, mentioned it, they don't want to talk, so they are glad if they have some females with them who do the networking, who do the communication part, who do the management part, and I think also as a team, male with and female, like I think also Katarina said it is mixed team. There are lots of opportunities for mixed teams. There is a reason why they are particularly successful, I think. So maybe we can take this message and send a message out to all students and people thinking about coming up with a business. So thank you to all of you. really liked the talk of Diana and Henriette at the beginning, and I think this was really inspiring, and that's the thing that I will do next. I will listen to your podcasts, and maybe we will take up the idea and also do something like that, or we do something together. That would be fantastic. And thank
That
you
would.
for, yeah, that would be great, I think. And thank you to the 4 founders, Katharina, Nasli, Pervin, and Georgina. I really liked your input, and it was really interesting to hear it. And thank you also again, Yuria, for your whole team. You made the nice parakat, the invitation with everything, and you made a fantastic moderation. So thanks to all of you.
Thank you for all participants. And right now, more than 50 people are around it, and they are getting the information, inspiration, and they learn that to trust their intuition. And we are improving ourselves every day. And thank you for being an opportunity with organizing that event. And thank you very much, all of you. Again, thank you very much.
And hopefully next year we will have the next meeting,
Definitely.
maybe also with some input at the beginning, and then another discussion group with young founders, female founders. I think that would be great to continue our tradition, as I told you.
Exactly. Sabina, maybe we can create a project, because right now 3 years we are gathering all female founders
that's
around
true,
it.
absolutely.
Maybe we can move forward. And thank you very much, all participants. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
you very much then.